Hello, this is incredibly impromptu. I was not going to do like a reading vloggy thing, but Krista has a bunch of court this weekend, so a lot of the evenings I'm just gonna be hanging out with the dogs and reading. So I thought, why not? Also, we have watched some shows. I have listened to an audiobook that I have thoughts on, and we're going to the movies a few times, so I thought it would just be fun. So this is the start of random classics. So if you didn't know, which you might be able to tell from this ring actually, but if you didn't know, I did a Twilight reading vlog like set a couple weeks ago. So I read the Twilight books for the first time, just the four. I only read the four from the like original saga, and then while I was reading them, they kept referencing Wuthering Heights, which I have never read. I have not read a number of like, I'm gonna call them classic romances, but I'm not sure that's 100% correct. So like I haven't read Pride and Prejudice, I haven't read Sense and Sensibility, I haven't read Jane Eyre, I haven't read Wuthering Heights, etc, etc. I read the ones that you would consider sort of like on the horror realm, I would say. So like I've read Frankenstein, Dracula, Picture of Dorian Gray, but like I attempted to read Pride and Prejudice, I've attempted to read Sense and Sensibility and just got absolutely nowhere, so I just kind of gave up. Mostly because my mom had copies of those that I could borrow, and like she loves Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, and she was like, oh maybe, and I couldn't do it. I like couldn't get into them. So while I was reading the Twilight books, I was like, well maybe I should try Wuthering Heights. Now the issue here is that while they were explaining the plot, because they don't really get into the plot of Wuthering Heights, they just keep mentioning the characters, I got super hung up on the fact that I knew there was a classic piece of literature where a woman is in an attic. And I'm like, someone's wife is in the attic? That's not Wuthering Heights, right? Like, I'm trying to like figure it out, and like Krista is pretty knowledgeable of like literature, and she was like, I could not tell you what that is. Like, I don't think that's Wuthering Heights. So I'm like looking up and I'm like, okay, it's not Wuthering Heights. And I was like, but what is it? And so I kept typing in like the wife in the attic, the woman in the attic. And while I was doing this, and I had to write this down so I wouldn't forget, but I wound up typing in at some point wife in the attic classic literature, and then got recommended a quote unquote sapphic retelling of Jane Eyre by Rose Lerner. And the title of that is literally The Wife in the Attic. And it was on Audible, and it was free until like a certain date. And I was like, well, why don't I listen to this? I've never read Jane Eyre. Did help me figure out that Jane Eyre was the book I was thinking of. And so I was like, sure, I will listen to this. It is wild. So like, I don't remember character names anymore. I do remember the plot. It's just like, I even looked at them again and I just can't keep them straight, because each female character that winds up in the relationship actually has like a name she uses in English society and then her birth name. So I just like, I remembered them at the time, like I knew who they were, but I can't tell you now. So in this, a poor governess, or it's a woman who has like fallen out of society sort of because her family has died, and her grandfather, I don't know if her grandfather is alive or not, but he did not like her mother, so she has really no money because her father has died. So she is living in like a woman's home, so it is sort of like a boarding house, but she's chosen by this very influential woman to go be a governess for this gentleman who he says his wife is very, very ill. He has a young daughter, and he would like a governess for her. So she goes and lives on this estate, and periodically she is hearing about the wife. She knows the wife is alive, but that's all she knows. She kind of dislikes the wife because she's like, why doesn't she spend any time with her daughter? Like, how is she that sick? Like, she's eating food. Like, I don't understand. We do eventually meet the wife. The wife has sort of been kept in captivity by the husband. He's really just trying to use her money, her estate. He has none of his own. And because of that, she's just sort of being left to her own, like, she's just kept in the attic, technically. Then we do have her come into society, but she's always wearing like a veil. No one really can interact with her. She often leaves because she's ill, or she's drugged up on laudanum frequently. But during all of this, what is interesting is our main female character, the governess, is like casually occasionally thinking about what it would be like to just raise the daughter with the husband, the lord of the manor. And then eventually when she and the wife do build a relationship, because it is a sapphic retelling of Jane Eyre, things get very different. The wife wants her husband gone, she wants her daughter back, but she has fallen for the governess. So the plot takes on a sort of like, we're plotting a murder, which is interesting. I thought the story was interesting, but there is a lot of like trauma that occurs to the governess throughout that I disliked, and very near the end too, to set up the big like event. She has to get into a position she does not wish to be in, and it is very uncomfortable. So I didn't particularly like that part, but it is interesting. I did think it was an interesting story. So I am curious to see how Jane Eyre compares, because I know Jane Eyre is guy, woman, his wife. Like, I know that's the story. I know the two women in that do not come together. I know they meet each other at some point, but that's all I know. So I have requested Jane Eyre, and I have that. I'm very excited. It has a ribbon bookmark. But I'm going to start Wuthering Heights first because I requested it during the Twilight reading vlogs. And all I know are some character names. And that booktuber, Anda Kent, absolutely detests the main male character in Wuthering Heights. And so I'm like, oh no. Oh boy. So we'll see how that goes. I actually have my copy here, and it's so funny to me because it looks so fancy. Like, it's a cloth bounded. It is priced at $5 according to the library. I don't know if you can see that. It's in pencil. To put it in front of my face. Might be too small. There you go. And it's a Reader's Digest edition, which is why it's only $5. Like, it has little illustrations and all of that, but it's a Reader's Digest re-release of a classic, which is so curious to me. So I'm gonna read that one first. But before I get into that one, I did want to talk to you about a series we just watched. So I have never read a Leanne Moriarty book. I have not. I watched Big Little Lies, both seasons. I actually own them, but I didn't buy them. Ages ago, I used to review like shows, books, movies, for a website, and I received seasons 1 and 2 for review. Like, they were just sent to me, which was lovely, but like, I just still have them. And I never read the book. I had no desire. So Krista, my wife, saw a trailer for Apples Never Fall on Peacock, and it like just came out yesterday. This is the 15th. It came out on the 14th. We very foolishly stayed up very, very late watching all 7 episodes. And like, we were really into it. Like, we were super hooked. And then like, the ending was just the worst. Like, I don't know. Has someone read the book? I'm not gonna read it now because like, I can't bring myself to do it. But like, I was so let down by the ending that I was upset. Like, we finished it and I was like, what? What? Why? Like, we're following the family. Each family member gets their own episode. And I'm just like, this is the ending. This is just like how it ends. Like, this is, because that's also how the book ends, I would assume. And I'm just like, ugh, why? Like, I get it didn't want to go into a certain trope. It is about their missing mother. So they're like trying to avoid a trope from a well-known thriller about a missing woman. I don't want to spoil it for you. So like, being extra vague, but I'm gonna guess you can guess. And so like, when we got to the end, I was like, oh, maybe like this or this. And I had like 2 theories for the ending. Neither of those theories occurred. The ending was just the ending. So if you've watched it or read it, are her books frequently like that? Like, does the ending just like make you angry? But yeah, so I wanted to talk about that super quick while it was like fresh in my mind and it felt bookish. But yeah, so I'm gonna start Wuthering Heights, probably tomorrow. We are going to see Love Lies Bleeding, which is very funny to me because I was watching so many Kristen Stewart movies during the Twilight vlogs, and we're going to see this one because it's coming out today. I technically could have seen it yesterday, but Krista could not go, and so we didn't go because it's a whole thing with her work schedule. But if you didn't notice, I really liked Bella's ring in the like first 3 Twilight movies, so I bought a replica. A not expensive replica, it was cheap, but it's pretty sturdy, holds up. But I really liked it, so I've just been wearing it. But yeah, so I'll have a different outfit on for Love Lies Bleeding. And yeah, I'll probably show you that outfit. I might pop in and give you my thoughts on the movie, but I just thought I would start this very odd going to read Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre in the next few days thing. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. This may just be a lot of me DNFing classics, in all honesty. Who knows? I'll listen to an audiobook if not. I was going to include Poor Things because I want to read the book before I watch the movie, because the movie, I haven't watched it, and like I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. But it is on hold by numerous people because none of the libraries in the like northern New York library system have a copy. They only have one copy digitally, one, and a bunch of people have it on hold. So it's up to 8 weeks until I get the book. So when I get that, I will do a Poor Things comparison vlog, I guess, just because I'm curious, and even if no one cares, I'm gonna do it anyway. Also, I feel like my nose looks super red. I am cold. It's a little cold out, and like my office is sometimes hot, sometimes cold. I don't have my own vent in here, so it depends. I feel like I look sick. I'm not sick. My nose is just very red for some reason. Anyway, I'm gonna go because I need to start cooking dinner, but I just thought I would start this before I cook dinner. And then I'll change, and maybe before we go to bed, I will talk to you about the movie. Because Krista and I are of course going because we were married and we're doing a movie date after dinner. So I might have us do one of our like in bed, tell you about how everything went. We'll see. Or we'll both pop in here and I'll make her stand awkwardly next to me. We'll see. But I'm gonna go. I will talk to you later with movie updates for sure. And then keep an eye out for the classics chats, because who knows, maybe I will love these books, or maybe I will detest them so much that I will rage quit them. Who knows? Who knows? All right, talk to you later. Hello, I am too lazy to put you on a tripod. So this is my outfit. You can see a bunch of junk over there. But this is the outfit I wore to the movies. I did white tank top because it felt very muscly. And I did a little eye makeup. And my hair is a little poofier when I took it out of the bun to give me like vague 80s hair. So Krista did not like the movie, and I feel so bad. I should have thought about the fact that it was A24. I just feel like they're not a production company that she vibes with, just because their products are frequently either like really dark, or they involve a level of like mystical realism, which occurs in Love Lies Bleeding, which I did not expect. I'm not gonna tell you where, but it did. I thought the movie was okay. Not like my new favorite, but I like Kristen Stewart's acting in it. It also was very risque. I was not anticipating that. It was like watching the L Word. Just lots of seasons of the L Word all squished together. I hope you understand what that means. I can see where people have really liked it. I thought it was a fine movie. It wasn't exactly what I expected. I actually thought they killed a different character, in all honesty. But I did like the kind of get revenge aspect that was happening. So that was interesting, and I do appreciate when we decide to have a character who's very unreliable and they're like all woo, woo, woo. So I did like that aspect. So I feel like A24 is a better production studio for me, because I'm normally like, oh, weird things are gonna happen. And I'm prepared for that. And Krista was not, and I feel really bad because we were gonna go see the dog movie yesterday and we didn't. And then we already had tickets for this for today, so we saw this. But she really wants to see the Mark Wahlberg movie with the dog. And we saw this instead because I really wanted to see it, and I feel bad that she hated it. So we're going soon. She has to work this weekend, so we're figuring it out. But yes. Also, we're talking about my hair. I have only showered twice since I got it dyed, because when it gets dyed, I'm always really paranoid. So I wash it like thoroughly once a week, and like, it's just starting to look brown. If you were here, I had purple streaks in my natural hair, and we went and got our hair done, and the person who did it was like, oh, well, your wife didn't tell me that it was like fashion color, so I picked out purple natural colors, which the dye process is different. She was like, oh, we won't have to bleach your hair if I do this. Chloe's barking at cats. Yep, she's gonna keep barking at cats because I'm recording. And so she put it on my hair, and the dye, she's barking at a cat. Cause she can. So I'm gonna hurry. And so like the dye that she put on my head was purple colored, and as soon as she washed it out, I was like, my hair definitely looks red. Like my hair just looked magenta, like not unpleasantly, like it was very dark red, maybe with like a purple tone, but like each time I wash it, and again, I've only washed it twice, it's just slowly turning brown. So Krista already wants to get her hair redone, because all the woman did was like bleach her roots, which didn't make sense. So now her hair's being real weird, like it's really dry, it's having problems. And so we are, I don't know. She was like, you could get purple put back in, they could re-bleach, because I had portions bleached. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll figure it out. But yeah, because this looks brown. It doesn't look purple. It doesn't even look red in most lighting. It just looks brown. And I have naturally like dark brown hair, so it's just like light brown, which is not purple. Anyway, I'm done complaining about that. Movie is fine. I would say go if you want to see it. Just know the plot may not be what you thought it was going to be. But yes, so I'm gonna go. We are going to do kitty time, hang out with the cats, and eat some cheesecake. So I'm off to go do that. Oh, I'm watching Next Level Chef. We watch a lot of cooking shows. So yes, that was the update. I would say go see it if you want to see it. Just keep in mind it's A24, so maybe a little goofy for you if you don't like A24 productions or you're not like into kind of wacky content, if that makes sense. But I'm gonna go. I will talk to you later. Bye. Hello from my kitchen. I did not vlog at all on Saturday, which is solely because we were both like super tired. So in the morning we went out. It wasn't even the morning. So like Krista had work. So like she had court stuff. And then we went back to sleep after and then slept till like almost noon. And then Krista really wanted Chipotle, so we went to Chipotle and we stopped downtown to get coffees just because it was freezing and I hadn't had any coffee yet, even though it was late. I'm currently drinking coffee right now out of my Wednesday Addams Big Lots mug that says Stay Kooky. It's technically espresso, but it's like it's diluted, so it's basically the strength of coffee. I'm gonna cough though. Hold on. Sorry, my asthma has been wild recently because the weather's been so weird. Oh no, I'm gonna cough again. Having asthma is really annoying, especially when the weather decides to be like spring and then winter and spring and then winter and whatever. But yeah, so we went downtown and we got coffees and we walked around a little. We also got little macarons because they were doing this like thing downtown, so a bunch of places were open. So we stopped in really quick and then we came home and we ate. We had the dogs out and we let them run around a little in the house because it's been like really muddy. We tried to have them in the backyard, but there's a bunch of stuff happening right now. Like our neighbors have had people over, people who live behind us have people over, and like we can't have a privacy fence so the dogs can all see them. So they wound up coming back inside. And like we did that. I made corned beef yesterday for the first time, which was really fun. I followed this recipe vaguely from Food Network and you use Guinness to like cover it. So I did that. And then we ate dinner pretty late because it needed to cook and Chris had court again. And then I had like house stuff I needed to do because I was like keeping an eye on the corned beef and like making sure it was reheated because like I cooked it in the crock pot and then I had to go in the oven for a little, mostly to heat up the sauerkraut with it. It was like a whole thing, but I just like didn't really read that much. Again, I'm really sorry I keep coughing, but my asthma is being wild. So I read like a teeny bit of Wuthering Heights. I'm not even through chapter 3 yet. But like mine is interesting because it has a letter that Charlotte Bronte wrote as like not a prequel, but as like an opening to the re-release of Wuthering Heights at a certain point. So these are both books I'm reading, surprisingly, which was not planned, are Bronte books. So in this one, Charlotte Bronte is writing about her sisters, and she specifically does mention Emily Bronte because this Wuthering Heights is by Emily. She talks about her and how Emily has recently died. And she is like revealing that they use pen names and that was because they did not think books by a woman would get published. And then she's also pointing out, and this was so interesting to me, that there were reviewers that believe that Wuthering Heights is just like kind of a ripoff of Jane Eyre. And she's like trying to like back up her sister and saying that they are very different books, like that she was not inspired by Charlotte in any way, which I thought was interesting. So I really liked that as an intro to like get some insight into the sisters, but I'm just not very far in. Like we've met Mr. Lockwood, who is the narrator. So like because it's all like so we are technically Mr. Lockwood for this, at least for me. I think that's why I keep forgetting his name because I'm like, it doesn't really matter. Like you're the I persona, like you are the author, you are me, you are whoever. But like it's been getting a little confusing because they just keep mentioning Heathcliffs. Because there's a lot of Heathcliffs. So there's like a Heathcliff, but he doesn't have a wife right now. But his son had a wife who is living with him. And there's mention of a Catherine, who is a Catherine Heathcliff, Catherine Linton, Catherine something else. And I've gotten to a point where Lockwood has just had a nightmare that involved this like preacher that Catherine had written about, because there was a big snowstorm and he came over, even though he doesn't really like socializing with people. So I don't know why he keeps going over to the Heathcliffs at Wuthering Heights. And like even Heathcliff, the father, is like, why are you coming here? Like, go away. Like, no one wants you here. Basically, no one really wants him there, but it's snowing so badly that he's stuck. And so the cook, woman of the house, like a person who works there, she puts him in this room that is like super tiny. And then he thinks the room is haunted and like finds all these books that have like things that have Catherine written on them. So he like reads about this minister and then has a nightmare about it and then has a nightmare about Catherine. And I don't know what is happening, I think is the problem. Like I keep reading and I'm like, what? Like not much has happened. Again, I'm on chapter 3. But I'm just like, I'm so confused. I don't know what, like there's so many people. So I'm like, I don't understand. Is the Heathcliff I've met the Heathcliff? But it can't be, because it says there's like a family tree in the front, which is helpful, but it says Heathcliff and Catherine 1801. So like, is someone getting married? Have they already been married and Heathcliff is dead? Like I don't understand. So I'm just confused, admittedly, which is probably on me, just because I like have no knowledge of this story at all. So like, I don't know what I'm reading. I know there's a Heathcliff and a Catherine. I know that they're mentioned a lot in Twilight Eclipse. That I can tell you. And that's all I've got for you. So I need to read more. I need to go hang out with the pups. One of them is in puppy timeout because I was cooking, and so I was like cooking and checking on them every 2 minutes because I was making pasta for dinner because Krista has court. And then like every 10 minutes I would like leave the kitchen and go check on them. Sometimes less than 10, but I needed to get the pasta all in. And I just checked on them, and then I went in, and one of our dogs, Parker, when he gets bored, he loves to do this. He had ripped, we have these like protective sheets, like it's just like a bed sheet, like a tiny bed sheet, on these like storage things. But they're like next to the couch, so you can use them to like stretch out and all that stuff. And he ripped the sheet off of it and tore it to pieces. And so he's in a timeout because everyone else was being fine. So they're all still out, and I told him he can't rip, like he's done this like 4 or 5 times, like we've replaced them multiple times, because he'll wait and do it in like 2 seconds because he's a pretty big dog, so he'll just be like, rah, rah, rah. And so I'm just like, seriously. So he's in timeout, but I'm gonna try and read. I also need to fix a pillow. They ripped a tag off a pillow, and so there's a little hole in it, and I need to stitch it closed. They just popped the seam. It'll take like 2 seconds, but I need to do that. So yes. That is my update. I'm going to try and read more of Wuthering Heights. I'm half debating, but using an Audible credit, because I have one, to get Wuthering Heights the audiobook, because I'm wondering if that would be beneficial to me, because I am confused. But I don't know if the audiobook would help me or not. So we'll see. I might get the audiobook if I'm still really struggling, because I want to get through it, but I'm just confused right now. So we shall see. But I'm going to go. I got to fix those pillows. It's 2 pillows, actually. But again, it'll be 2 seconds. And hang out with the pups while Krista is at court. So I'm gonna go. That was my update on how I am very confused by Wuthering Heights, but did appreciate Charlotte Bronte's like, these were our pen names, and stop saying that this is a ripoff of my story, which is very nice of her. So we're gonna get into that. I'm really excited for Jane Eyre, mostly because the book looks really fun. It has a little, I already mentioned it has a little ribbon bookmark, and I'm really excited about that, which is so lame, but I'm excited. So I'm gonna try and get back to Wuthering Heights after I do some pillow maintenance. So I'll talk to you later, probably Monday morning at this point, but we'll see. See ya. Good morning. It's very loud in here because there is music playing for the dogs in the living room, and I'm making coffee. I'm gonna make this thing that I jokingly call a dead eye. It's really just a red eye, so I'm making coffee. I'm gonna put an espresso pod in it, not like drop it in, you know, make the coffee. I'm so tired, and I went to bed kind of early. I'm just like really tired today. But I wanted to give you an update even though I'm tired. I'm also watching one of my cats because he's pretty sure he wants to knock over my entire camera. I see you and your desire to do that. His name is Binks. He's now on the floor because I kept looking at him and he was like, oh. But I'm less confused. So, oh goodness. I actually don't mind when books do this a lot of the time, but this book confused me. So I finally got to the point where, Lockwood, so our narrator, main character, got home from Wuthering Heights from the snowstorm, and he's talking to his cook, whose name I think is Mrs. Dean, and he was like, you've lived here a long time. Turns out she knows who Catherine is, she knows who Heathcliff is, and she's going to tell us about the Earnshaws and the Lintons, which includes Heathcliff. And now I'm so much less confused because, okay, Catherine is an Earnshaw, and then Heathcliff was, I'm doing quotes here, an abandoned child that Mr. Earnshaw brought home, and then renamed Heathcliff. Oh my gosh, my cat is trying to give me a heart palpitation. Hi, this is Binks. Binks wanted to knock over my camera. Say hi to the video, Binks. Say hi. Hello. My name is Binks, and he's basically a gremlin. He's Amish and huge and a gremlin, and he's going on the floor. Okay, there we go. He just wants to knock stuff over. I'm using this box he keeps trying to chew to pieces to hold up my tripod and stuff. Ooh, why are you barking? Oh, there's a cat. I'm trying to be quick. Sorry, so there's a cat on the stairs that Chloe is barking at, and there's a cat in the kitchen. Oh, I see the cat she was barking at. His name is Bane, and I'm not gonna bother him. But what I was saying, Heathcliff was an abandoned child, and based on how they're describing him, they use a specific word that isn't really used now. So I think Heathcliff might be like a Romany child that Mr. Earnshaw found and then decided to bring home to work for him, which is so weird. But he cares for Heathcliff in a way. Catherine is obsessed with Heathcliff, but both of them are not good people. Like, Catherine likes being kind of a jerk. Like, she pinches the maid at a certain point, she lies, she runs out of the house into the mud, like she does all this stuff. But farther down the road, in the house that Mr. Lockwood lives in now, the Lintons used to live, and at one point Catherine and Heathcliff decided to go spy on them, like through the windows, because they think the Lintons are weird, and one of their dogs bit Catherine, and so she stayed at their house for 5 weeks to recuperate from a dog bite. And now she's like pseudo-betrothed to one of the Lintons, whose name I don't remember right now. But like, it seems like she's never getting with Heathcliff. So I'm so confused because I'm not as confused, I understand. But like, it kept being mentioned in Twilight like it was a love story. But I just think Catherine and Heathcliff have a really bad relationship. But it doesn't seem like either of them is getting with the other person. So we'll see how that goes. But now I understand the Heathcliff that we've met is actually Heathcliff. He began using that as his last name, but they only say Heathcliff is his name, but I guess it becomes his family name. It's very odd to me that we're not, like, his name's not Heathcliff Earnshaw or anything. He's just Heathcliff. But he's going to marry someone and Catherine is going to marry someone. There's also that family tree, which now that I understand that, I'm less confused by. But both of them decide, like, Catherine has a child named Catherine, I believe, and then he has, like, Heathcliff and someone have a child. And I believe those two children get married, like, well, they have to. The son of Heathcliff will marry the daughter of Catherine, which is, woof. In that situation, no one is, actually, no, they are still related. The family tree shows everyone's like cousins. So, you know, it's not great. But I'm gonna get back into it. I understand what's happening now. I know who's who. And I appreciate that we have Mrs. Dean, because it's really just that Mrs. Dean is relaying us the story of Heathcliff and Catherine. So I get it now. I understand. And I'll have more updates for you when I read some more. But I'm gonna go drink this coffee because I am tired. So I will have more updates for you in a bit. Bye. I have done it. I have finished Wuthering Heights. Okay, so I read a bunch during my lunch break. I'm actually gonna keep holding my coffee, but you should look at this very cool copy of Wuthering Heights again. It's just like very cute. The spine, I feel like maybe it hasn't been redone. It's just a very interesting spine, but I think the cover is very nice. But I finished it. I read a bunch during my lunch, and I read a little bit after work, and I finished it. It's done. Yeah, I have no idea. And again, I said this is almost like a companion vlog to Twilight because this gets mentioned and I think eclipse a bunch of times where like Edward and Bella are talking about like Catherine and Heathcliff and why. I don't get it. Like Edward and Bella are supposed to be meant for each other and the loves of each other's lives, and Heathcliff and Catherine. Now again, there are like not 80. There are two Catherines, and there is Heathcliff and then there is Linton Heathcliff, but also Catherine Linton's father is Edgar, like there's just a lot of repeated names, which makes sense because everyone's related. Except technically Heathcliff original. He's biologically related to no one because he's found. Or kidnapped. I don't even know. Like, I don't know how he manages, like, I don't know if they fully explained it. If they did, I must have glossed over it, but like, Heathcliff's just there, which I mentioned already. But, I'm taking a sip of this coffee. My hands are really cold, but I want to use my hands. So, I'm taking a sip and then I'm putting it down. Hold on. Putting it down. So, I just don't like anyone. The only one I don't mind, I suppose, like, I like Mrs. Dean. She is like the voice of reason. She's the cook who's explaining the story to you / Lockwood. I don't even particularly like Lockwood because Lockwood's like, oh, I could have been with Catherine, the young Catherine. I don't even know because they technically call her Kathy at one point, but both Catherines are called Kathy. So that doesn't even help. So we're going to go with Catherine Sr. and Catherine Jr. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I hate repeated names. Like, I get their familial names and I understand why they're used, but it's just so annoying to read. And I'm sure it's intentional because of how things shake out. So, in this, Catherine, previously Earnshaw, now Linton, decides to marry Edgar Linton because she's like, he has money, he's lovely, I'm just gonna marry him. Even though she has feelings for Heathcliff. And she's obsessed with him. And Heathcliff is obsessed with her. But they're awful people. Like, Heathcliff is not a kind man. And Catherine is not a kind woman. She actually uses her husband, Edgar. And then Heathcliff is also, like, using his position to try and just get Wuthering Heights. Because Catherine's father is dying. And because he took Heathcliff in, and prefers him to his own biological son, Hareton, I think that's how you say it, he like basically is letting Heathcliff do whatever he wants. And they're both just horrible people who are like using everyone around them. And then eventually, Catherine, the original Catherine, OG Catherine, if you will, she's not even the original. I think there's another Catherine. Like, I think her mother, no, in the chart, she's the OG Catherine. Okay, so she winds up, like, she's with Linton. She apparently gets with child, even though I have no idea how that happens because I feel like she hates her husband tremendously. And she also, like, hates Heathcliff at a certain point. And, like, Heathcliff begins hating Catherine, so he gets with Isabella, who is Catherine's sister-in-law. And, like, it's just a mess and gross and awful. And everyone is terrible to their partners, and it's disgusting. Like, they're just awful. Everyone is awful, except conceivably Edgar, again, but like, he just becomes so overwhelmed with everything that's going on that he like gives up. Like, he's just kind of like, I'm locking myself away, whatever. But he winds up having a daughter who he dotes on because Catherine, before this book is done, not even halfway, maybe halfway technically, is dead. She dies. She dies in childbirth possibly, or like right after childbirth. There's a child and she dies before that child like can do anything besides breathe. So she's dead. Heathcliff finds out about this and is just very upset, but he's with Isabella, who also at some point has a child but runs away, and Heathcliff does not see that child for many, many years. Catherine, the new Catherine, who is frequently called Kathy, even though Catherine original was also called Kathy by Heathcliff, which is so weird that her father would choose Kathy then. Anyway. New child Catherine is raised and is very spoiled. Everyone is so spoiled in this. Like, not all of them, but like the Catherines. Maybe not, because her father is awful, but this Catherine is spoiled. New Catherine is spoiled. No one is parented well. It's all a mess. Mrs. Dean is basically taking care of new, young Catherine. And at some point, Linton, who is Heathcliff and Isabella's son, is brought to new Catherine and her father because Isabella has died, and then Heathcliff's like, well, I want my kid, so bring me my kid. And then he has this whole argument where new Catherine and his son, so a new Heathcliff and Catherine, should be married Again, everyone there's cousins, so I just give up. They should be married because new Catherine doesn't have any money by law anyway. Doesn't matter. Like, once her father dies, she'll be penniless. So she should just marry Linton, because he's going to inherit it anyway. And so she'll be taken care of. But that's not actually what's going to happen. He just wants them to be married so, like, he can have the property because his son is very sickly and he doesn't give a crap about his son. Like, he's basically like, they can get married, it'll be great. But then, like, he gets them married, then locks new Catherine into his home with Linton. Linton dies, and then new Catherine still can't leave. Like, she's just trapped there forever. Forever. Not, well, up to mostly the book. And, like, Mrs. Dean can't do anything about it. So she's telling Lockwood, and then Lockwood, like, takes her a letter at a certain point because Lockwood is sick, which is how the story is being recounted. So it makes sense. Like, you're being told a story because you're really ill. He delivers a letter, and then he's just like, it would have been lovely, or something along those lines, if Catherine and I had gotten together. And I'm like, why would you want to be with her? No one in this whole cousin marrying family, which, again, I understand marrying cousins is more common in the 1800s, but still, why would you want to be with these people? No one is, like, great. Like, even new Catherine is cruel to Hareton because she's upset about her circumstances. He's just trying to learn how to read because no one gave a crap about him because his dad was a drunk and Heathcliff hates him. And she makes fun of him all the time. And then Hareton gets very angry because all he ever sees are men being angry. And then, like, I'm just like, oh my good lord. And, like, Linton isn't very good either. And, like, neither is new Catherine. Like, her mother had these, like, fits of rage, and she has a handful of them. Not as bad, but still, like, she hits Linton at some point. It's, like, a whole thing where, like, no one is really good until finally, Hareton and new Catherine develop a friendship. Eventually. I think mostly because of the close proximity, and they're both never really allowed to leave Wuthering Heights. And they're gonna get married, so go them. But they're only getting married because Heathcliff suddenly is, like, overwhelmed with some weird haunting? I don't know. He just, like, will do all this work and be really hungry, and then he'll sit down to eat and he can't eat. And he's like, I don't know, I'm not hungry now, I'll eat later. And then he dies. He just dies. But he's like, Mrs. Dean has been brought to Wuthering Heights at a certain point, and she, like, hears him muttering Catherine. I'm like, okay, is he being haunted? Because we believe that she might be haunting, like, original Catherine might be haunting it because he actually cursed her to haunt him until his death. So, like, is she haunting him? Did she decide to kill him so her daughter could be happy? Does she care that she has a daughter? Does she care that her daughter would be happy? Like, I'm just, and they're, like, talking about ghosts, and then it seems like Heathcliff and Catherine conceivably get to be together in eternity. Whatever that eternity is, because Mrs. Dean doesn't seem to think either of them is, like, going to heaven. Like, she's just kind of like, whatever. And I'm like, this is not a love story. This is just a horrible story about horrible people. Except maybe now new Catherine, who has had a horrible time of it, and Hareton, who's also had a horrible time of it. But now they're both doing fine, I suppose, based on how this is explained. I guess now they're both moneyed again. Like, they would together own both those places. And apparently Mrs. Heathcliff, as she's being called, is just taking care of anything. And I think her name, I'm gonna take a sip of this. I think she becomes Catherine Earnshaw because Hareton is an Earnshaw. So we have another Catherine Earnshaw. So we've really just, like, rotated through all the variations of Catherine and last names. Like, we've gone Earnshaw, Linton, Heathcliff, Earnshaw, which seems intentional, right? Like, she was always supposed to get with an Earnshaw. I don't know. I'm using my monitors as light since the workday is over and they tried to go to sleep. Shh, I turned them back on. I need to be done. I'm basically done. But, oh no, asthma. Hold on. I'm trying to avoid coughing again. Nope. It's snowing today. It's been snowing all day. It's not really sticking because it's been so warm. It's so confusing. The weather is weird. It's making my lungs hate me. And I've had a lot of coffee. But yeah, so I finished Wuthering Heights. I did it. Everyone was awful. I don't even particularly like Mr. Lockwood. I'm really sorry. But, like, your only thought was, well, I could have been with her. That could have maybe helped her. Whatever. So there's that. I finished it. Don't see at all why Bella and Edward would use this as the love story they want to talk about because it's not a love story. Also, based on this, they should never have gotten together. If they're so obsessed with Heathcliff and Catherine, they would never have gotten together, except in death, and possibly in not heaven, because Mrs. Dean doesn't think they're good people. So, who knows? Or I guess maybe they're just ghosts on the moor. They did say ghosts. It was a read, is what it was. I am more excited for Jane Eyre because I read that retelling, and so I'm like curious to see how the retelling, the Wife in the Attic, compares. I know it's not sapphic. I understand that. There will be no sapphicness in Jane Eyre. But I'm just very, oh, now I have something in my eye. Goodness gracious. I'm just doing all the things. I'm just coughing, I'm poking my eyeball, I'm drinking coffee. All the things I don't think you're supposed to do in an update. But there we go. I finished Wuthering Heights. I will move on to Jane Eyre. Yes. Yes. Oh goodness. The book was just annoying. Like, I don't understand how, I mean, I guess I understand how it's a classic because it's by a Bronte, but still, like, oof, that was not a pleasant read. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I have things I gotta do. But I will update you when I get into Jane Eyre. I want to read a little before I talk about it. Might get an audiobook if I can find one that I like. But I'm gonna go because I got things to do. So I'll talk to you later when we're on to Jane Eyre. Okay, it is the first day of spring, but you wouldn't know it from our backyard, or really like the whole neighborhood. But I wanted to do a really quick video because the snow doesn't look real. Like, I'm not going down too much farther because it's late. But it looks like that flocking stuff you spray on Christmas trees, and I just thought it was so weird. So I just wanted to get a little video. But it is so cold. And it looks so strange. But anyway, you're gonna see my our porch. But I'm really cold. I'm gonna give you a tiny update before I go inside because it's so cold. I started Jane Eyre. I'm probably like 50 pages in. She's at the school, and I'm really liking Jane Eyre so far. I like it a lot more than Wuthering Heights. And I texted my mom because she's read it, and she was like, oh, it's such a good story. So she's excited I'm reading it. And I found the audiobook on Audible for free. So it's like part of Audible. So I'm gonna listen to some of that tomorrow, I think, and then like switch between the audio and the physical, depending on what I'm doing. But I'm gonna go because it's really cold. But I want to give you that really quick update and show you the very weird snow. But I will talk to you later. Bye. Hello. You get this angle a lot. I'm very sorry, dear vlog. So because I did like the most wild, like super quick update clip yesterday, I thought I would do a kind of, this one won't be very long either, little update on my Jane Eyre progress, because really yesterday I just wanted to tell you that it was snowing, and the snow looked so weird. Even this morning when I went out, it looked like little styrofoam pellets. Like, I would not have believed it was real snow. Almost like Dippin' Dots. It was like the consistency of Dippin' Dots. It was so weird. But I have not read a ton more. I did find the audiobook. I was planning on listening to it today, but I'm just not in like the zone to listen to a book. I've just been playing like random YouTube videos and like getting stuff from like work stuff done today. It's just been a weird day. So fun fact, I said that to Krista earlier. I sometimes say fun fact out of the blue. But so later tonight, which is why I'm not really doing a big update, Kristen and I are going to do like a date night, actually pretty soon because it's after work. That's why I'm filming this. We are going to have pizza, and we're going to watch Love is Blind season 6. And probably use our fancy, we had this installed a little while ago. We have like a nice little tub with jets, like it's like a soaking tub. We'll probably use that because it's freezing. But we were supposed to get the pizza. One of the cats is yelling, really yelling. He's fine. One of our cats, Bane, when he wants someone's attention, he just starts crying. And then you'll open the door and he's totally fine. He is fine. He just stopped. But we were supposed to get the pizza, so I ordered like 2 pizzas, some cheese bread, and a salad. And the plan was we would eat some of the food for lunch because you could schedule a delivery. Like, I've done that before. And I was like, okay, I'll schedule it for 1 o'clock, which is my lunch. And then Krista was going to come home. We were going to do pizza. Well, I ordered this pizza at like 11. I mark it for 1. And normally I give them like a little bit of leeway on the time, but like it was 1:10, and I'm like checking the tracker thing, and it doesn't even say my pizza's being made. Like, it just says like nothing. And I'm like, okay, maybe something's wrong with the tracker. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I call and I get someone and she's like, no, we're down a driver. I'm really sorry. Everything's running late. It should be to your house in 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm like, okay, but you're also, cause she also was like, I was like, is my pizza made? Cause they can like check your phone number and look. And she was like, no, not technically, like I'm about to put it in the oven. And I'm like, but then wouldn't have to. And I was like, okay, whatever. And she sounded like really frazzled. And then like we waited my whole lunch break. It wasn't even like 1 o'clock officially because I didn't even go to lunch right away. I was still working on stuff. And it got to like 1:30 and I'm like, okay, it's not here. Like, I don't know what's going on. Krista had to go back to work. I had to start getting ready to go back to work. And so Krista was like, I gotta go. Like, we gotta go. And so I waited a little. I like kept checking it because I was like, well, maybe they're just like really behind because she had said like there were 14 orders or something. And so I still look and I'm like, it still says it's at the place. Like at that point I had technically said it was made, but it wasn't in a car. It wasn't en route. So I call again. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. I called like a half hour ago because at this point it's like 1:40 and I'm like, I am just calling because the pizza isn't here at all and it's still saying it's at the Domino's. And I'm like, is something going on? Like, we couldn't eat the pizza, so I don't know what to do. And I'm kind of like, one of the people that was gonna eat, like, she's already gone back to work. Like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, gives this whole explanation about delivery drivers and blah, blah, blah. So the delivery of the pizza and like the creation of the pizza, because at this point, I think all the pizzas were being thrown away because they'd just been sitting from what I could tell, which was not her fault. It had something to do with the delivery drivers. I was like, could we just like have the pizza come later? Like, can I get the pizza at like 4:35, somewhere in that window? So the pizza is showing up around 4:30-ish. Krista gets off around 4:30, so the plan is for it to be like here near-ish when she gets home, and I can just like put it somewhere to keep it safe until we can eat. So that's what's happening. It was a very weird event. But yeah, it's a weird day. So I also randomly did a Belle reading Wuthering Heights Disney Bound for the Disney Bound challenge that's going on right now. It's completely out of the blue. I just decided to do it because I had a green dress and I really like the cover of that book. But yeah, so Jane Eyre. I have gotten to the point where she's at the school, which is called, hold on, Lowood. And I can see why people might have thought that she and her sisters were like involved in each other's writing, or maybe the same author, because Lowood is very similar to Lockwood, which is interesting to me, but Lowood is the name of the school. So Jane has been sent to Lowood because, and they get into this in detail. She's an orphan. Both of her parents have died. Her sister's brother, who is also now dead, had taken her in and wanted her to be raised with his children. His wife, though, does not like her, and once he died, she kind of was like, meh, I don't like Jane. So Jane like lives in the house, but like that's it. Like no one really like cares for her except a maid, like a maid/nurse. She kind of does, but she also is having Jane like help her around the house. And during this, Jane's cousin attacks her. But because Jane can do all wrong and her cousin can do no wrong, she winds up being punished, and she winds up in the Red Room. And what happens in the Red Room is she starts like freaking herself out and thinking there's a ghost, because apparently that room is where her uncle was laid out upon his death. Like he died there, he was laid there. So she starts like panicking and gets herself into a fright because she's 10 years old. So she's like in a state. They wind up calling an apothecary, a doctor. He comes and he's like, no, it's her nerves. And then it turns out that her aunt had written to the Lowood school to see if they would take her because she doesn't want Jane. And they do accept her, but like the Lowood school is a school for basically orphans. And I just, oh my goodness. So Jane gets there and she does want to be there because she hates her aunt. And what's interesting in there are like discussions of like you should treat those who scorn you kindly, like very religious things. And Jane is very like, no, I don't like them. I'm not going to like them. Why should I like them? They don't like me. Which I find very interesting. It does seem like it fits into Charlotte Bronte's discussions. There's like a foreword, and I very much get that like Charlotte Bronte is like, why should I have to do these things? But so far I haven't gotten too far. Jane has met Helen, who has a last name that is used more often, but right now it's ingrained in my mind as Helen. They have met, and curiously enough, we've gotten to the point where it's very, very cold there, which fits with the current environment here, because she even is like mid-March, and I'm like, well, it's late-ish March, mid sort of, and it's freezing. There's snow. I'm super cold. I've had a lot of hot coffee to try and stay warm, which Jane also drinks coffee. It makes me want brown bread. But I am enjoying the book. Tomorrow, my plan is definitely to listen to a lot of the audiobook. Krista inconveniently has court again tomorrow, so I am also thinking that I'll listen to some of it while she's at court, or I'm going to listen during the day and then read while she's at court, depending on what I'm doing. I might do some kitchen stuff, so audiobook will be easier. But yeah, I want to finish this week, but it's really big, so if not, I'll push it off. Posting a video not this week doesn't really bother me. I've just been kind of tired and cold and bleh, so I really don't mind. I can put off and post it earlier in the week, next week or something. But yes, so I am enjoying the book. I did mention that already. I like Jane as our narrator, and I'm curious to see when Jane starts interacting with other people, because right now she's still really young, so she's interacting with people, but we haven't gotten to the Mr. Rochester aspect, and I know he's in this. So I'm curious to see how that goes. But that was the update. Probably won't get anything until tomorrow. I'll probably film a little more tomorrow, just because it'll just be me and the dogs, and sometimes I get bored, and so I'm like, oh, I'll talk to my camera. AKA you're all keeping me company and you don't know it. But I'm gonna go because date night is going to commence very soon, so I will talk to you later about more Jane Eyre things. Bye. Hello. Super quick update. I took a shower. My hair is in a very tiny braid. I've read a little bit more of Jane Eyre. I know I'm reading it super slow. I was going to listen to the audiobook for like the past 2 days, but I just haven't been able to get into like audiobook zone. I've genuinely just been listening to like listening/watching just YouTube things. Like I've caught up on BookTube, and then I've been randomly like watching these like true crime videos where this girl does her makeup and talks about true crime things, and like some of the cases I already know. Like I think my brain is just like tired. I don't know, because like I already know the info, so like I'm not taking anything new in, if that makes sense. Then I had a presentation for work that I had to mock present today, and it went well, but like I was like stressing about that, and I've been stressing about it for a couple days, so like I think that was also kind of an issue. I'm gonna paint my nails tomorrow. I took it off after I took a shower because it was super chippy. But I've gotten farther. I read a little while Krista was at court. Mr. Rochester has been mentioned, but he has not appeared yet. And Jane has gotten her new employment, so we got the rest of her life like condensed. She even talked about it. She was like, I've devoted roughly a chapter for each year of my life so far at this point, because she had been 10. And then she was like, now I'm jumping forward to when I'm 18. And then she talks about how she stayed at that school, but the school got better, mostly because of like a cholera outbreak or typhoid. Oh shoot, I'm not gonna remember, but it was a fever. I think it's typhoid fever. Yeah, typhoid. But I feel so bad because, okay, like I knew Helen was sick because she had a cough. And I was like, oh, she's got the thing. So she has consumption, which is like TB. And I knew it was gonna happen. And so that was really sad. They introduced another friend, but that was very brief. And then Jane became friends with the teacher they all really liked, who gives me such Miss Honey vibes. And I'm gonna guess that Miss Honey is inspired by her, but I could be wrong because I don't know if Jane Eyre is inspired by that at all. I feel like it might be a little, actually. It's kind of a jump for Matilda, but still Miss Honey. I'm getting Miss Honey vibes. She was just married, and Jane was like, he is almost good enough for her. I get such queer vibes from Jane. It's probably just me projecting, but she like is so like invested in Helen and loves Helen in like a platonic way, but like it feels so crushy. And then like she doesn't think anyone is really good enough for the teacher, Miss Temple. Like there's another girl who she says like she enjoys spending time with, Mary Ann. I don't know, I just get like such vague gay vibes from her, but like I understand. I know she's not, but still, like I'm just like, oh maybe you're bisexual. Are you into women? Charlotte Bronte, were you into women? I haven't looked up anything about Charlotte Bronte, so I don't know. But I've gotten to the point where she is now about to start as a governess. She's at the Oh gosh, I'm really tired. But she's gotten to where she's going to be working. And I genuinely just got to the Mr. Rochester mention. I'm gonna finish that chapter because I'm in the middle of one, and then I'll start the audiobook tomorrow for sure. I'm definitely starting the audiobook for sure because I don't have to worry about anything presentation wise till next week, so I think I can focus. But I just want to give you an update because I hadn't really updated. Also, I have like goofy stuff behind me. Also, these are dried roses that I made to a little bouquet. Can you see them? Yes. Okay, but I'm gonna go to bed. But I wanted to give you that update so that you had one. And hopefully I have lots of updates tomorrow. I'm also gonna try and make a fancy coffee tomorrow, so I will keep you informed on this Jane Eyre journey. Talk to you later. Hello from my coffee nook. I'm about to make, I think I'm gonna do it again because it was pretty good, but I bought this lavender syrup because I want a gift card at work. And I wanted to try and make a lavender latte because some places have had them, but they all sound kind of gross. And like, I don't super like a lot of milk in my coffee. Like, I'll do like a cold foam, but I don't really put milk in my coffee. And so I like wanted to try it with like just cold foam or like just plain coffee. And also with said gift card, I got a bunch of espresso pod bobs. So I did this earlier and it was really good. But I did one espresso pod that I ran twice to get 12 ounces of espresso, which is like diluted. So it's like kind of like a small Americano. And I put some syrup in it halfway through and didn't put cold foam on it because we're doing pizza for lunch. And the pizza I'm going to be eating, I already talked about this, but like the pizza situation was wild. The pizza didn't show up. I had to call them and we didn't get the pizza till 5:20, but because everything had been so messed up, we got the pizza for free. But one of the pizzas doesn't have sauce on it. Like, I ordered a barbecue chicken pizza because it was like a half off thing, and they didn't put any barbecue sauce on it, but they put like a million times the cheese. So it's like extra cheesy with no sauce. But it still tastes good. Like, we were just dipping it in barbecue sauce, like kind of a cheese bread. But yeah, so we have leftovers, but we also didn't have to pay for it, which was very nice because it was like a whole thing. That's from an earlier clip. I just felt like I should catch you back up on the pizza saga of chaos. Oh, this one I have to put the syrup in. Okay, so behold, syrup. I'm also using, oh, it's gonna drip. I'll show you when it's done. That's probably enough. I didn't put very much in. I don't like a lot of sugar in my coffee either. So I just put like a tiny, like half a squirt. Oh, they're barking, which means mail might be coming or cats are running around. One or the other. You're gonna keep barking? Is it a cat? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm preheating the oven now because Krista, I don't know why they're barking. Because Krista is coming home for lunch at like 12:45, and I just want to make sure that it's ready to go. But I'm actually here for a book tip update in my kitchen. So I could fit this in my pocket, so I brought it downstairs. But I have made it to chapter 17. And so Mr. Rochester has officially shown up. He had just been mentioned where I was before, and he and Jane have been like interacting. And so Jane has gotten like the full story of why he has this ward named Adele. So he like was infatuated with this Parisian opera singer, and that makes sense because Adele speaks like fluent French. But he insisted that he felt like he saw the Parisian opera singer with someone else and basically told her he was like cutting her off because he'd been paying for her like apartment, hotel, like all this stuff. And then she came to him when she was completely broke and was like, this is your child. And he doesn't believe that it's his child, but he took the child anyway, and he sees taking in Adele as like mistaking a number of wrongs he's made in the past. So he calls it like the Roman Catholicism way of like cleansing his soul, which I thought was so interesting. There's a lot of religion talk in here, and it's a lot of like picking and choosing thoughts on religion, or like not really agreeing with religious practices, or like how religion is not like the end all be all for everyone, which I find so interesting because this book is not like a present day book. Also, Jane has spent time with Mr. Rochester, and she actually did not like him when she first met him. She was like, not attractive, like it doesn't really matter, but hey, meeting him kind of like, and it was so weird because she met him and she didn't know it was him, which in like a romance novel would be like a meet cute, but like she met him, he fell off his horse, and then she just kind of was like, I could get you some help, and he was like, no, and she was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna keep going to town. If you don't want my help, then bye. And she just kind of like put it out of her mind. She was like, oh, I like made my day more exciting because I've been really bored. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so wild. But she has officially, like, she now knows that it's Mr. Rochester. They have met officially. And she's growing more connected to him. And then was so wild to me because I did not expect this. She like can't sleep because he's told her this whole story and she's still kind of like ruminating on the story of Adele and this Parisian opera singer. And she swears in the middle of the night she hears this like odd laugh that is like goblin-esque. And she like gets up out of bed and like looks outside her door. She's like, what the heck is going on? Like she doesn't know. And previously she's been told that there is a woman named Grace who like laughs, and sometimes they hear her in different rooms just because she laughs kind of loudly. And she's like in this hallway and she's like, maybe it was Grace. And then suddenly she realizes that Mr. Rochester's bedroom is on fire, and she like rushes in, pours water on it, gets it to stop, and he's like, oh, I'm fine. Are you fine? Everything okay? Did you hear or see anything? And she's like, yes, but I think it might have been Grace. He's like, ah, yes, Grace, yes, definitely Grace. I'll go deal with that. And then he like disappears and comes back and he's like, yeah, everything's fine. You were totally right. Go back to, like, it's fine. You can stay here. But she goes back to sleep. And then the next day, Grace is cleaning the room. And so like Jane is like trying to like interrogate her, and Jane is just, and like Grace is just kind of like, like he was reading, his room caught on fire when he fell asleep on accident, the candle was lit, and she like is like, but Grace, you did it. Like, I don't understand. Like he agreed you did it. He said you did it. Like, why are you acting so like calm? And then she's just like fixated on this, like, what is going on? And so like Jane has no idea why the room caught on fire, has no idea what's going on. And then like she's realized that she has taken a liking to Mr. Rochester, who she now finds to be attractive because they've spent so much time together, and he like brightens up her day, gives her things to like do, just because like she was so tired of just being with Adele and like the days passing slowly, and he like has conversation. It makes her days more interesting. So she's like now into him, but he's on a journey. When he's on this journey, oh gosh, what is the woman's name? I keep forgetting all of them. Miss Fairfax, because we're at Thornfield. Miss Fairfax. Mr. Fairfax is like, oh, he's on a journey, but he's going to this house that has these beautiful women in it, like the daughters of this blah blah blah. And Jane is suddenly like, oh my god, why did I think that he could ever like me? Like, I am so dumb. He's obviously in love with this beautiful, beautiful woman, because I am just so, this is our cat Salem. I'm just so plain and boring and blah blah blah. So she paints a portrait of herself and a portrait of this woman. Oh, you're gonna jump on my back, aren't you? You're debating. Salem likes to shoulder sit, and she's really debating about doing that. She also wants to knock over the camera. I'm almost done though. So she paints these two miniatures, and she's like, if ever I think that he likes me, I'll just compare them. And I'm like, oh my god, you made up what this girl looks like anyway, and now you're just like, he'll only like her, he hates me, I'll look at these and be like, bah, why did I think he would like me? And I'm just like, Jane, you are so dramatic. But I'm really, really liking the book. I haven't actually listened to the audiobook yet. I just managed to get some more read. Hi, you're really invested in like being really close to your camera. But yes, so I'm really enjoying it. I haven't gotten to the audiobook because I've just been like enjoying reading it. I read before work, and I read a tiny bit while I had a little bit of a break. But yes, oh, I wanted to show you my coffee. Okay, so it's in my Stay Kooky Big Lots Wednesday cup. It's very fun. I just felt like wearing like a sort of springy, spooky outfit, because like Jane thinks there might be something going on in the house, and there's talk of ghosts. But it's little ghosts, and one of them has flowers, there's little cobwebs, there's a little black cat that Salem is blocking with her very being. But I'm gonna go. But I am really enjoying the book. I also feel like this is a very modern Jane style look. I don't know why, I just feel like it is. Though she's terrified of ghosts, so she would probably never wear this shirt. But maybe she would embrace her horror and get more invested in them. I'm gonna go because Salem is moving a lot, and I don't want the camera to fall. But I have to go. But I have more coffee. I'm preheating the oven. And I will talk to you later.
A degree of regard for that foolish little child of too, and even for simple Dame Fairfax. Yes, sir, in different ways. I have an affection for both, and would be sorry to part with them. Yes. Pity. He sat and sighed and paused. That is always the way of events in this life. He continued presently. No sooner have we got settled in a pleasant resting place, than a voice calls out to you to rise and move on, for the hour of repose is expired. Must I move on, sir? I asked. Must I leave Thornfield? I believe you must, Jane. I'm sorry, Janet, but I believe indeed you must.
Hello. Krista is watching Roadhouse, the remake, on Amazon. I am finally listening to the audiobook for Jane Eyre. I made it to the second book, so like I read all of book one. Like I finished all of book one yesterday. Oh my gosh, so many things happen. So Jane gets her fortune told, but not by an actual fortune teller. It's actually Mr. Rochester in disguise. There is an attack in the house. and someone is stabbed, and he says, like, she attacked me with a knife, she was like a tiger, and Jane thinks it's Grace still. But Mr. Rochester then talks about this, like, youthful indiscretion and a woman. He mentions a woman who is more like, I'm just gonna say foreign, because the idea, I think, is, and I know some things, but it's someone not from England. And a lot of those descriptions are very, like, they were dark of color and stuff like that. But it sounds like he was with a woman who was less demure than Miss Jane. Oh, Chloe and Kira doing things. So, yep, that's all you're gonna hear. That's all you're gonna hear is the movie and that. This is our house. It's very loud all the time. Oh, that's extra loud. Oh my gosh. I'm making waffles is what I came to tell you. I'm making waffles. Things have happened. Jane's aunt died. She spent a month with her 2 female cousins because her male cousin, who's awful, committed suicide because he was in gambling debt. I'm drinking my waffle. I should probably pull that. So she found out her aunt was dying, and the coachman from her, the other family was sent. She also has found out that she has an uncle, but her aunt told him, like, an uncle on her mother's side, or her father's side, and he was told that Jane is dead. So yeah, she has no one now. But I just got into part 2, and Jane came back, and she was talking to Mr. Rochester because she thinks he's getting married. Like, everyone is very sure he's getting married to this woman who is around, and he keeps saying he is. Like, he mentions her a lot. He says he'll help Jane find another place to go. He's like, oh, there's a family in Ireland who will take you. But he just proposed to her, and they kissed, and then a tree got hit by lightning. So yeah, took a turn. I mean, I knew they were getting together, but still, it was very like, oh my gosh. But I'm gonna go because I gotta monitor my waffles, and the movie keeps getting really loud. So I'm gonna go. And I'll update you when I'm farther, probably from the kitchen, because I'm going to do a lot of cooking today because we're in 3rd winter. It has snowed. We were supposed to go to see Pretty Woman the musical today because we have tickets to see this, like, touring Broadway show. And the county that it's in says the driving could be impossible. Like, it literally says impossible. So we're not going because it's already really bad here. So we're just not gonna go. We're gonna stay home because it'll be safer. And I'll be in the kitchen a lot. So those are my updates for you. You'll get a lot of kitchen updates. And hopefully I get a lot farther through Jane Eyre because I'm in part 2. So we shall see. But I'm very intrigued to see what happens next because he has mentioned another woman and now they're getting married and okay. Bye.
Woe and wrath between our spirits stood. I dangers dared, I hindrance scorned, I omens did defy. Whatever menaced, harassed, warned, I passed impetuous by. Unsped by rainbow, fast as light, I flew as in a dream. For glorious rose upon she allured me. The marriage was achieved almost before I knew where I was. Oh, I have no respect for myself when I think of that. An agony of inward contempt masters me. I never loved, I never esteemed, I did not even know her. I was not sure of the existence of one virtue in her nature. I had marked neither modesty, nor benevolence, nor candour, nor refinement in her mind or manners, and I married her. Gross, grovelling, mole-eyed blockhead that I was. With less sin I might have. But let me remember to whom I am speaking. My bride's mother I had never seen. I understood she was dead. The honeymoon over, I learned my mistake. She was only mad and shut up in a lunatic asylum. There was a younger brother too.
Hello again from the kitchen. Krista is watching the OC, but we had breakfast earlier, which I kind of showed you. It was like a cheese, egg, potato skillet thing, and I made coffees, and we watched the Charlie's Angels movie with Kristen Stewart. And I told you, this is basically a continuation of the Twilight reading vlogs. Like, it's like an addendum, like the bonus features, if you will. But I am officially on chapter 29 of Jane Eyre, and I'm cooking dinner. Well, lunch. It's only lunch. But I'm making roasted green beans and meatballs. But yes, so I've been listening to the audiobook when I cook. And so Jane and Mr. Rochester were about to be married, and then someone stood up and said that they could not be married, and Jane had no idea why. And she'd already relayed this dream where, like, a frightening figure came and, like, ripped her wedding veil in half, and Mr. Rochester was like, oh, it must have been Grace, but you beheld something else, blah, blah, blah. And so when someone's like, you can't marry her, Mr. Rochester is like, who has proof? And it's Mr. Mason. And then he takes them back to the house, and we see the current Mrs. Rochester and get her whole history of how he did marry her. It was kind of an arranged marriage because his father did not want to split the estate between him and his brother. So Mr. Mason had like set it up and said like his sister had like an estate of $30,000, like would give $30,000 for the marriage of his sister, and like they got married. And then he says that the entire family is mad. He's like, they're all mad. She went mad. Like, I could not be with her. I only wish to be with someone more like, not docile, but like more caring. And so he said he had like mistresses, and he like did all this stuff, and he had locked her away. He had debated about sending her to another like smaller estate that they have, but he said that one is in such disrepair he couldn't do it. But Jane is like, I can't stay with you. Like, we can't get married. I will not be your mistress. So Jane left secretly in like kind of the middle of the night. And she sort of just like wandered around. She was able to get some bread, but she's been exhausted. It's been raining. And she just made it to this like little house where these two women were reading German books. And like it was a whole thing about how they went to teach German and this whole thing, but it's like raining and they're on the moors, and Jane finally knocks, and their like housewoman Hannah wouldn't let her in, but then the brother of the two sisters arrives, and their father has just died, apparently. And he brings Jane in. They're having a discussion, and they wind up putting Jane to bed. So that's the point I'm at. Jane is elsewhere under the name Jane Elliot because she wants no one to find her. Like, she doesn't want Mr. Rochester to know where she is. And so she has finally fallen asleep, and that is where I'm at. So she has not relayed any story. Like, I don't know what story she's going to tell them, but I'm really, really enjoying it. It's just so wild to me because I did not expect her to leave. So like, she's just gone. She just left Thornhill of her own volition with like very little. And I'm just like, oh gosh, Jane, you are just a woman in not a time when you could just wander about. So I'm very much enjoying the book so far. I don't think I'm gonna finish it today, but I do think I can finish it tomorrow, either in the morning or in the afternoon, one or the other. So definitely we'll be done with this soon, and I can give full thoughts, but I'll update you again if I get far enough where I think I can give you an update. But yes, so I'm really enjoying it. Also really enjoyed the Charlie's Angels movie. That one is just so fun, and Kristen Stewart is a delight in it. But yes, so I have had a wonderful day. We're just staying home today. We debated about going to the movies, but like the weather is nice, but it's also like super cold but sunny, so like everything is melting, which means it's going to freeze, which is not fun. So yeah, we're just gonna hang at home. I'm finishing up making lunch. We're gonna eat lunch, and then I don't know what we're gonna watch. We were watching Love is Blind last night, but we've also been watching MasterChef, so I'm not sure. We also finished the Ivy Ridge documentary, the program on Netflix, which we really only watched that because we lived like 15 minutes from Ogdensburg, in a tiny town in New York a long time ago. Well, not kind of a long time ago actually. So we watched it, and oof, oh boy. And we also watched the Quiet on the Set like mini series on Max, which was so sad and just oof. It's a lot of sad. We mixed Love is Blind and MasterChef in during all of that. But yeah, so we've watched a lot of stuff. But I'm gonna get back to cooking and listening to Jane Eyre, and I will again talk to you later. Possibly later tonight, because I'll be cooking again because I'm gonna cook dinner too. But then I'll just see where we go from there. So I'll talk to you when I have something to talk to you about. Hello! This is the end of the very odd vlog. I'm still calling it the Twilight like continuation vlog because I genuinely only read Wuthering Heights, which I still have right here. I haven't returned it yet, because it was mentioned in Twilight, and I wanted to know why the heck they kept mentioning it. And I do not know. I mean, it's possible that Sammy Meyer really likes Wuthering Heights. A lot of people do. I think the story is fine, but it's not a love story. The only way Catherine and Heathcliff are seemingly together is that they're together in death. Possibly. Who even knows? And if they are, they're not happy because everyone is like, they're together, but they're obviously not in heaven because they're both horrible people. So like, the atmosphere, cool. Characters, most of them are horrible people. Like, I don't understand why you would choose Wuthering Heights as the book. Like, I don't get why that's the one she picked to quote all the time. Because I read Jane Eyre. Because it's another Bronte book. And because I kept trying to remember if Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre were the same book or not. It's the wife. I could not remember, and I mentioned this previously, which book had the secret wife in the attic. So it is definitely Jane Eyre. And I like Jane Eyre so much more. And I don't understand why you wouldn't reference Jane Eyre in Twilight, because, spoiler, Jane and Mr. Rochester get together at the end and have a child. Like, I don't understand why this wouldn't be the book you pick, unless you weren't allowed to quote this book because the estate didn't want you to. But like, this one would fit so much better, because where I last updated you, Jane had been taken in by another family, and then it turns out that Jane has an actual biological family that has left her money. She's actually related to these people who have taken her in. They're her cousins. She almost gets married to her cousin, which again is more normal at that time, because he wants her to come on his missionary mission. He wants her to come with him, and she turns him down because she has this like odd sensation of Mr. Rochester calling for her. And so in the end of the book, Jane has become independently wealthy. She has been a teacher. She's basically has a life of her own now, and she has the money to exist without being married. But she hears this like voice of Mr. Rochester, and she leaves. She's like, I have to go. She goes to him. Turns out all of Thornhill has burned down because the wife set it ablaze, possibly to kill Jane, because no one had known Jane had left really. And during this, the wife did die. So now Mr. Rochester is a widow and marryable. But he was injured. He lost most of his sight in one eye. He lost his other eye, and he's missing a hand. And Jane finds him, learns all of this from someone else, and then she goes to be with him. She's like, I will be your nursemaid. I will be anything you desire. And then he determines that they're going to get married finally. They do get married. They live a seemingly long and happy life as we jump forward at the end. They've been together 10 years. Adele is her like consummate, like new daughter. Like, she was going to teach her herself, but she couldn't because she was taking care of Mr. Rochester. So she sent Adele to a better school that was closer so she could visit her frequently. And then she had a child with Mr. Rochester. And I don't understand why that, like this particular book, even though there's a wife in an attic, like, I don't know why you wouldn't pick this one for Twilight, because you could argue that being a vampire is Edward's wife in the attic, and that ultimately he and Bella will get together even if they cannot be together immediately or cannot have the life they want immediately. Like, I don't get it. Like, this would have been so much better as a choice than Wuthering Heights, where everyone's unhappy and no one gets to be with the person they love until they die. I don't get it. I did really enjoy Jane Eyre, so I'm very glad that I read it. I did read the first half physically, and then a couple bits and pieces of the second half, because it's technically 2 volumes, in like physically from that book. But I did listen to the audio for most of the second half. I could get it through Audible. It was included in your subscription thing, which was good because I have been super busy. It is officially my lunch break, which is why I'm filming. But I've been super busy, so I just had it on and I was able to listen to it, and I'm so glad I did. I really enjoyed it. I also think I would have liked this even if I read it when I was younger, because a lot of it is like Jane finding a life for herself and then getting married. Like, she doesn't make getting married or being with a specific person her like sole focus. But she does love Mr. Rochester. I really enjoyed it. I should track down an adaptation. I'm very sure there are numerous adaptations of Jane Eyre, but not right now. At some point I will. So yes, that's my argument for why Jane Eyre should have been referenced in Twilight instead of Wuthering Heights. Still, I don't know why you'd want to be Catherine and Heathcliff. I don't get it. I would much rather be Jane and Mr. Rochester in a love comparison. But that was the goofy, odd vlog. I have no idea how long this is. I looked at the clips on my phone, but I haven't looked at length or anything, so I'm gonna splice them all together and get them out to you very soon. And if you're watching this, they're already out. But yeah, I mean, I had fun. I just like moved very slowly. Sometimes I read faster than other times, and this is one of those like slow times. So yes, but I did enjoy myself. Also, if you have been paying attention to my hair saga, I'm still adjusting to the fact that basically I just have auburn hair now. I feel like it's definitely not purple. It's supposed to be purple, or at least violet, and it's auburn. It's more red than anything else, which whatever. So I'm adjusting, but I am making plans to do fun things to my hair in October. I'm waiting because my brother and his girlfriend, who is very lovely, are getting married in October, and I'm very sure my mom would prefer that I have like normal colored hair at the wedding, so I'm just kind of letting it go. And then in October, I'll do what I please after the wedding, because I won't need to be at a public event for a while, and I can do what I wish. I mean, I in theory could, but I would rather not have wild hair that was disapproved of. So it'll probably get longer. I don't even know if I'll get it cut until after. But yes, so those are hair thoughts. If you have suggestions for what you'd like me to do with my hair, let me know, because I'm looking at lots of things for October. But yes, so that is everything. Have you read Jane Eyre? Have you read Wuthering Heights? Do you agree with my comparison of the books and their connection to Twilight and the one that should have existed as opposed to the other? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't seen the Twilight video and you somehow watched this, you should watch the Twilight video, because there are 2 of them and it was very fun. But I'm gonna go. I hope you enjoyed all of this chaotic nonsense, including snow in spring, because it happened a few times and I only filmed 1, but we got a ton of snow beyond the goofy snow I showed you in this. But yes, so officially I'm gonna go. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe. I have a fun April plan that I do have to officially figure out with my wife still, that we're doing, which should be fun. But I will talk to you later. Bye, internet people.